Hey guys, happy Sunday! If you don't know who I am Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. And whoa, hold on. We are too much extra sound. Anyway, if you don't know who I am, I'm Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You could check out the description box down below to learn a little bit more about me. You can check out the website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. You can check out my handmade awesome shop, Desert Cauldron, over on Etsy. And heads up, but maybe in like 2 weeks, hopefully around the spring equinox, we will be launching the brand new site and everything. So Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. The what? Right up. Okay, well, it's on the other side on my camera. But up there you see the logo for the Savage Wild. And so that is hopefully, fingers crossed, what's coming around the time of the equinox. I'm really excited about that. This is something that before I even had a name for it, I've been wanting to do between like 5 and 8 years. Like it's been a while. Just something deep inside was like, as much as I enjoy doing all the things I do on my channel, and that is an aspect of me, it's time to finally kind of move along in the journey. As we grow and expand, we're not really meant to be stagnant characters. I mean, our journey is always ever evolving. Earth's always evolving. Why wouldn't we evolve too? So now it does have a name to it. It is the Savage Wild. And so I have a really close friend of mine who is helping me with that website and the logos and the banners. So as soon as that launches, everything will be changed on all social media platforms. I say all too for me, because I'm not on like a ton of social media, but for YouTube and Instagram and Patreon, my patrons kind of already have been, going through the change since the very beginning of the year, but, the official banner change and the name, and everything. So, and I feel like the Savage Wild truly reflects this next portion in the journey. So stay tuned. I'll keep talking, little snippets about it here and there as we get closer to launch. Anyway, hope you guys are having a fabulous Sunday. We are not in our normal apothecary room, our herbal room, because we are in the kitchen. And sometimes there are some teas where the herbs will technically, it's like roots and barks. They're really tough. And so you have to actually make a decoction instead of a regular boiling water, tea, because it just takes longer to steep and break down those certain, either vitamins or minerals or whatever nutrients that you are trying to get out of that plant or that root or bark. And so I do have some more dense material in what I'm making here. And let me bring you guys in a little further. Whoa, hello. So I just have it cooling down on the stove now. It's been simmering. I brought it to a boil, my tea, and then I've just been kind of letting it simmer, and now I've turned it off so it can cool down. I don't like burn my mouth. But anyway, you're probably wondering, what kind of tea is this that you have to make it on your stove? Well, this is my famous root beer tea. I say famous to me and my neighbors, because my neighbors, any chance they get, they always remind me, hey, you remember that root beer tea you made us? Yeah, do you make any more of that root beer tea? Do you sell that root beer tea on your site? Well, I will eventually sell it on my site, in my Savage Wild site. But if you are looking to make some root beer tea at home, you could boil this on the stove and then transfer it to something to cool down and put it in the fridge so that you have a cold, root beer tea. Or if you have some sort of carbonation device and you want to actually make it into root beer, you can do that too. But basically the ingredients are the same. It's just how you want to take it: a hot infusion, cold and carbonated. I doubt you want warm and carbonated, but some people teach their own. So I have in this 5 cups of water. Actually, I'll open this up now. Oh, it smells so good. Okay. In 5 cups of water, I have 2 tablespoons of sassafras. And remember, I kind of eyeball things, so it's not an exact science, you know. So 2 tablespoons, technically, of sassafras bark, which smells amazeballs in itself. I have 5 whole cloves that are in here. 1 tablespoon of dried ginger. I also have a 1/4 teaspoon of peppermint leaf in here. 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, ground allspice. It's actually probably time for me to buy some more allspice. We're almost out. I put 1 star anise in here, and you could put either a half a cinnamon stick, like, this big of a cinnamon stick in here, or you could just put a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, which is what I did. And then I put a whole vanilla bean in here and about 6 tablespoons of brown sugar, although you could use maple syrup or, whatever sweetener that you want to help give it that little sweet-ish flavor that goes along with root beer. So you're going to have to do a lot of taste testing because not everybody's taste buds are the same. But for me, this tastes like root beer. So, okay. So what we are going to do with our hot ass concoction is try not to spill it too much as I strain it through here. You know what? Let's take it to the sink in case I do make a mess. Then, it goes into the sink. Okay, so you guys are going to come over here with moi. And voila, as they say. Okay. Probably don't need to use my little whisk anymore. I whisked all I could whisk, and I can't whisk no more. Okay, thank you, Whisk, for being a part of this. All right, so to pour without making a massive mess. All right, not too shabby. Okay, I'm going to put what came out and put it back in there so it could just steep away, basically, until I want some more, or somebody else in this household would like some. Okay, I'm going to put this lid back on. I'm just going to set it back on the stove. The stove's turned off. I just, Okay. Alrighty. Now, I'm just going to rinse this off my little strainer. Okay, good times. And for the piece de resistance, how does it taste? Let me get a paper towel in case I dripped all over my mug. There was a little drippage on the mug. There we go. Root beer, tea. But yeah, let's taste it. Yes. Maybe I would put, maybe because I put an extra cup of water. I had 4 cups of water, but I added 5. I might put a little teeny bit of extra sassafras, like maybe 1 more tablespoon. But otherwise, this is freaking root beer. I love it. Okay, so hey, we made root beer tea. Okay, I'm going to take you guys out to the living room. And yeah, let's have a little chitty chatty today. So, if you guys would like to make a beverage, you may. Maybe you are making yourself a nice high tea, or maybe you guys are indulging in the vino or staying hydrated with water, as you should. Or maybe you have some other beverage, maybe Dr. Pepper. I don't know. Okay, so let me put this away. And then I'm going to carry you guys off to the living room. Okay. Hey, Lilith Phoenix is here, and Punky79. What is up, my friends? Okay. Are y'all ready? Here we go. Road trip. Buckle up. Put your trays in the upright position. Sit back. Hold tight. Hold your breath. No, don't do that. Okay. And here we are in the room of living. Okay, let me just put this laptop down, which holdeth all your valuable wordiths, wordies. Okay, and I'm going to extend these legs, extend the legs of the tripod. Come on now. Okay, that goes there, and that goes like that. All right, let me get my tea, and then let's dive into all the goodies for today, plus all the extra things I want to talk about with the upcoming website. Yay! Vader, would you like to join me in the living room? Okay, well then, you make a fantastic lump in the kitchen. And here we are, tea in hand. This tastes so good. Kind of wish we did have a carbonation device. Then I would literally have root beer. But sassafras, interestingly enough, it's kind of an expensive herb, not like as expensive as some other herbs, but you know, it is a bark off a tree, and I would probably try to grow a sassafras tree here, but it just doesn't grow in our climate. It's more humid, temperate, like not too cold, like it doesn't get wintry with snow, and it doesn't get too hot. So I think it grows best, they say, in like North Carolina and stuff. But well, then I will just have to keep purchasing from the local family that has Sunshine Herbs out in Sholo. So I like supporting small business anyway. It's cool. Punky's like, sassafras is fun to say. I know. Like, I wish my name was sassafras. Like, hey, sassafras. Like, what? Okay. I'm going to put my little tea ski down, and I'm actually going to light our candle. I have some, like, I have everything all springed out over here, getting ready for spring, because we kind of already have like an early spring that's been starting. We had a very, very mild winter, if you even wanted to call it a winter. I mean, it maybe dusted some snow a couple of times, but you know what? It better make up for it next year. I want to be up to my eyeballs in snow. Whatever they had going on over in the East Coast, where they were up to their eyeballs in snow, give me some of that. It seemed like they didn't want it and they didn't appreciate it. Well, I do. So send it my way. Just blow all that snow over. Anyway, so a little bit of an early spring over here. So I was feeling all the springy vibes. It's actually really nice outside. And I thought maybe for our meditation and stuff, we'll just like head out because, you know, it's nice. So I have everything like all spring here. I have like a spring deck. I have my spring crystals and just, I don't know, just kind of feeling the new season. So this is a candle that I got probably just over 10 years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, from one of my friends who she originally was my vocal teacher when I was, training for the opera. And then we became friends, and she had given this to me for my birthday, and I never wanted to burn it because I was like, it's so pretty. It's like a little succulent. But I'm like thinking about it. I never really put it out on display, and it just kind of sits in a cupboard. I'm like, you'll only live once. Let's freaking burn it. You're gonna burn it with me today. It's been waiting. All right. It burneth. Okay, little succulent. I think she got this in, well, it doesn't say on the bottom, but I believe there's an opera house out in New Mexico. And so she loves going out there. So I think that's where she got it, was one of her trips down to New Mexico. Okay, so let's get a little incense going as well. I actually have some patchouli incense. I felt that that was also very springy. Just has a delightful smell. Just spring vibes all over the house. There we go. Get your spring on, El Capitan. All right. Okay. Well, here we are. Here we are. Welcome, welcome. All right. So, first of all, hello and welcome. Yeah, I hope that you guys do try out that root beer tea. But okay, so for the rest of the live chat, I am going to dive into what you guys voted on in the YouTube poll. So there's a poll that I put out on my YouTube channel page. I don't know if people actually get notified about it, but just know that around Thursday is when I post a poll. So just head on over to my page, see what's happening. Sometimes I just post some like, hey, how y'all doing? Stuff there on the page. But I put a poll out there. I also offer that same poll to my YouTube members and my Patreon homies. So if you're a YouTube member or you're on Patreon, you get another vote. So it's another vote pushing it towards what you would like to see on Sundays. And I have a couple of really awesome people that are a patron and they're a YouTube member. So they get 3 votes because they're a subscriber, they're a member, and they're a patron. And so some people are like, we're going to be doing this Sunday. And they really like push the votes, which is pretty awesome. So I hope you guys enjoy what you guys voted on for today, which is how to discover your animal totem. So we'll talk a little bit about, first of all, what is an animal totem? Is it just like one of those poles that you see with like a bunch of animal heads? Is that what an animal totem is? Are we supposed to have one animal totem, 50? Like, what do we do? So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then afterwards, we'll dive into the herb for the week and kind of, meditate with it, its energy. What messages does it have for us for this upcoming week? How can we utilize it for our medicine? Maybe some spiritual medicine, maybe some energetic medicine, maybe some physical medicine. But we're going to be talking to our friend Sage. Actually, I knew a girl named Sage. So we're not talking to her. We're actually talking to the actual herb. So we'll hang out with Sage, learn a little bit about it, some history about sage. Is it just something that Native Americans use? Is it just something that like new agey people use? Or, what is it? Like, how can we utilize this? So we'll look into that. And then we have our guided meditation, and maybe Sage will be kind enough to help us out with that meditation. And by the way, thank you for all the people who give so much positive feedback about the instruments that I've been using for the meditations. The flute specifically, I think that's your guys' favorite. It's probably my favorite too, right next to the drum. If I had like a bigger drum, I probably would love that even more. I like my little drum that I've made, but I think it's time to have like a bigger drum. It just has like a deeper bass to it. I feel it represents the heart even better, at least for me. So anywho, alrighty. And like I said, for that meditation, maybe we'll head outdoors because it's real pretty. You guys, I don't know if you can see, it might be a little too bright out there, but you can see it's a nice day. So we will do that. Okie dokie, animal totems. First and foremost, let's give ourselves a little bit of tea here. Dude, I just want to chug this tea, but it's a little hot. We should bottle this root beer. Savage Wild root beer. Okay, that's freaking good. Oh, I wish I made it more often, but I don't want to use up all my sassafras. Sassafras. Okay, so let me take a look at my notes here. Animal totems. First of all, like, what are animal totems? So when they talk about an animal totem, and I say they as in many Native American tribes, even my tribal background, which is Pima or Akma Odam, they had animal totems, and it could be one, it could be two, it could be three. Some people had multiple totems. It just means animals that have stepped up to walk with you on this journey. They have a medicine and they want to work closely with you with this medicine, and it's creating a bond, with the animal, with you. And it's not this take relationship where, let's say, my animal totem is a horse, which actually one of my totems is a horse, so but it's not my only totem. And let's say I want to work with horse, and I'm like, horse has this wonderful medicine. When I'm around horses, I feel so calm. I feel joy. I feel, this grace, like power and grace that I can, be strong, but I don't necessarily have to enforce my strength onto everything around me in order to show that I'm a strong person. I feel like horse really embodies that. But instead of just taking horse's medicine, be like, all right, see you later. Thanks for all the things you taught me. You give back to the animal as well. It was a way for our ancestors, our native ancestors, to create symbiotic relationships in nature and realize that we're not just these beings that get to use up everything as if it's like, it has no soul of its own. So when working with horse, then maybe, you volunteer somewhere, like scoop up some horsey poo, maybe help saddle some horses, maybe just hang out with them, talk to them, give them a good brushing, rub their nosies and stuff like that, just hanging out with horse and connecting with its energy. What can I do to help you? And the more you can do this with a totem animal, the more you can do this with anything around you. It's connecting to the plants, it's connecting to the elements, it's connecting to your fellow human being, and realizing that, again, you're not this little being on an island all by yourself and everybody is here to bow down to you, human, animal, plant, whatever it may be. And I have felt that through working in a totem relationship with an animal and looking into their eyes, if your animal has eyes in the way we see it, because everybody's got a different type of animal. Literally, I feel you see into the eyes of the creator, because everything was created out of this love, and it creates this beautiful balance in everything. Everything is needed. There's nothing on this planet that is extraneous, where well, God or creator or whatever, made a mistake and just accidentally put this animal there or that person there. Those mistakes aren't made. And so when we create this relationship, we are understanding the balance. We're trying to understand even further our creator, our life's purpose, and also the way in which we can help the world around us. So, and Costolini said, even wasps, even the things that we're like, ew. Like wasps, really? Snakies, really? Everything's got a purpose. Everything. Even if it's not apparent to us, and even if they can be quite bothersome, there's a purpose other than being bothersome. All right. So let's see. So here are some things to think about. I'm just have them all down here, all these questions. Some questions to ask yourself when it comes to well, I've never heard of animal totem. I don't know if I have an animal totem. So Maybe you have an animal totem already, maybe you don't, but here are some questions to definitely keep in mind, meditate on, journal. So, number one, which animal or bird or insect, whatever, maybe a wasp, has always fascinated you? Fascinated you. So we are drawn to that which most resonates with us. Those animals which fascinate us have something to teach us. So maybe we'll just take a pause there. In the comments, maybe you want to type it out, or if you have access to an emoji because you're on your phone, put the emoji of an animal that has always fascinated you. Again, it could be, we'll use an animal as like a broad term. So I'm encompassing. Oh, you got what? You got wasp? Worms. Okay, so maybe worms really fascinate you, wasps really fascinate you, horses, it could be ants, it could be, anything. Again, animal is the broad term. I'm not talking psychological, scientific, because scientists would be like, what are you talking about? Insects are not animals. I know, bro. Broad term. Okay, number two. And again, if you guys want to drop your fascination animal as an emoji or a text, go ahead and do that. But number two, when you visit the zoo, if you've ever visited a zoo, maybe in this country or maybe in a different country, I don't know. But if you've ever been to the zoo, which animal do you wish to visit the most or first? Like, oh, I got to go see my sea turtles, or oh, I gotta go see the giraffe, or so what animal that it's like when you get to the zoo, you're like, I really have to go see this animal first, and just like chill, like we are we are the same. Or you just can't help keep going back to that habitat and keep going back to that animal's place, and be like, hey, maybe see them before you leave. You see them when you get there, you see them before you leave. It says, as a child, this is especially important. Children are more naturally open and thus are able to more easily recognize the animal that will be important to them. And this is true. Although we are all born with ego, children haven't, at least up to a certain age, haven't totally solidified that ego. They don't really know that the ego is supposed to be quote unquote in charge in this world yet. Although we've kind of made it in charge, but anyway, so they're more inclined to just do. They just go to the things that they like. They play with the colors that they like. They, listen to the music that they like. They just do without, ooh, what are other people going to think about me? Or like, ooh. So definitely look to children as well for a little tip on that. Okay, number three. What animal or animals do you see most frequently when you're out in nature? Have you had encounters with animals in the wild? The animals we encounter in the city environment or in the wild have significance for us. We can learn from them, even if only about survival within the environment. So if you're like, man, I live in the center of Manhattan, what type of wild animals are you talking about? I guarantee you there are animals in that city. Just sometimes we're so distracted with the hubbub of cars and people and buildings, and that sometimes we don't always see the smallest of creatures. But there are owls in cities, there are hawks in cities, there are rats in cities, there are mice, there's lots of different little animals, sometimes even every now and then deer running across the road. But what animal have you seen most often in the place that you live? Because you might be like, oh, well, I live in the White Mountains, and so it's a common occurrence for me to see elk. Well, there's a reason that you live in that place, that you would see that particular animal in that place, so that you could work with that animal. Okay, so number four, hold on, let me have another little sip of tea so it doesn't get cold. My. Good job, Tara. You're welcome. Anyway, okay, so number four, of all the animals in the world, which are you most interested in now? So not just talking specifically about the animals that live near you. So like for me, not specifically maybe deer or elk or, coyotes or wolf. But which ones out of all the animals in the world are you most interested in now? Our interests in animals change. So maybe when you're a little kid, you really liked the platypus. And then as you got older, you're like, bobcat. Bobcats are badass. So it does change because, like I said at the very beginning of this live chat, when I was talking about getting ready for some changes with my channel and everything, we evolve, we change. And so if we're changing, our energy's changing, obviously the animal that is a part of our medicine and we a part of theirs is going to change too. So keep that in mind. Um, yes, it says we usually have one or two that are our lifetime power animals, but others become prominent when there is something important or specific to teach us. So let's say for me, I would say I have three totems: wolf, horse, and hawk. Like those, just they've been with me my whole life. There are other animals that have come and gone. Like right now, I like hanging out with squirrels. I like squirrel. I like squirrel medicine. But squirrel hasn't been with me my whole life, just kind of more in the past few years, in this journey. And so maybe when I no longer need squirrel medicine, it no longer needs my medicine, then that might change, just like I don't know, maybe all the other energies and people that come into our lives, but certain plants, certain animals, certain people, they come into our lives kind of rotating in and out as we evolve and change. But sometimes there are those people, those animals, and those plants that are just kind of always with us, no matter how our lives change. So for me, it's those top three. Those are the three that are always with me. But other animals, yes, they kind of rotate in and out. There was a while there where I really connected with sea turtle. It was probably around the time I was surfing. I was a surfer for a while. And so I always thought they were so graceful, so beautiful, funny. They're pretty funny. But I just really enjoyed sea turtle. And even though now I still think, wow, sea turtles are magnificent creatures, beautiful creatures, I don't feel that same connection I once did. And that's because something changed, something happened. I outgrew that medicine or I shifted in some way and they outgrew my medicine. So something to keep in mind. Oh my gosh, Tony! He says, I still love bulls. What's up? Finally stumbled to a live stream. Y'all, this person that you kind of don't see there, but is in a screen name, that is my brother from another mother. That is my friend, Tone. So happy to see you. Talking about animal totems, by the way. Okay. Number 5. What animal most frightens you? So not always the animal that we're like, oh my gosh, it's so sweet and and it's so cute. I like kitties, they got toe beans, but an animal that frightens you. Maybe it's spiders. Maybe it's the tarantula. Maybe it's snakes. Maybe it's lizards. I've actually seen some people that are afraid of squirrels. But yeah, so what animal frightens you? It says that which we fear the most is often something we must learn to come to terms with. When we do that, in it then becomes a power. So some shamans believe that fears will take the shape of an animal, and only when we confront them without fear do their powers or medicine work for us instead of against us. Such an animal becomes a shadow totem. So helping us to dive into those shadows because I don't know how many people are actually all willy-nilly about doing shadow work on this planet, where it's like, yeah, let's dive into all my insecurities and my programming and all the things that I don't like to talk about in public. Let's do it. Well, same with certain animals. So for me, gosh, I don't know if there's an animal like I fear anymore. I mean, do I like spiders? Not that much, but I'm not like screaming my head off every time I see a spider. Actually, what's weird is I like tarantulas, but I don't like other spiders. Maybe because they're fuzzy and they remind me of an animal. I'm like tarantula. Oh, that's so cute. Like, oh, daddy long leg. Ah! It's makes no sense. Anyway, so so this animal that we're like, creeped out about, it frightens me. I don't like it. I scream, maybe for some people it's mice or whatever. There's something about that animal that's trying to teach us something. And once we find out what that something is and we work on it, then we'd be pretty cool with it. And I must be doing some kind of work because I used to freeze when there would be a spider in my bedroom. And there was always a spider in my bedroom. It's almost as if spider was like, I don't know why you're scared of us. You're literally like a million times larger than us and you can squash us with your fingers. Like, what's your problem, lady? And I would always be like, I'd see it on a wall and I'd be like, like sliding out of the bedroom to go get my dad and tell him to go get his chancla, his flip flop, and like take out that spider. And then later, I don't know what I probably something I have to meditate on, but I had decided that I was friends with a daddy long leg that was in my bedroom after all these spiders that, met their untimely death just because they so happened to put up a web in my bedroom. I decided that this one daddy long leg, I saw that he had caught a mosquito that had been bothering me in my bedroom and it got caught in the web and he was going to go suck its blood or whatever. And I was like, cool. Well, thanks for getting the mosquito. I guess you live today. And then it was like, it would just stare at me and I'd stare at the spider and I was like, why are you so creepy looking? And then the spider would be like, why do you hate me so much? Like, what did I do to you? And I was like, okay, well, if you don't come towards my bed and you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. And so I left it alone. And it lived for several years. I don't really know how daddy long legs, how long they live, but this one lived for several years in my bedroom in the corner. Didn't really move that much. It wasn't dead, by the way. I wasn't hanging out with a dead spider. You're like, well, maybe it was dead. No, it was alive. It would move, but it just wouldn't like get closer to my bed. Sometimes it would go up towards my window or, come back down. And I don't know, after that, I wasn't too creeped out by spiders anymore because I had made this relationship with something that originally really grossed me out and freaked me out. So, okay. Let's see. Tone said, good to see you too. And Venusian goddess Heather says, scorpions, healthy fear. They are definitely healthy respect. Their boop noodles. It says, hello, loves. Well, hello, my friend. Scorpions, I don't know. I was never afraid of scorpions. I wouldn't mess with a scorpion. I mean, I knew even when I was like, whatever, 4 or 5 years old and first encountered a scorpion up at my grandparents' place. They lived in the middle of the desert. And I would see scorpions and I just knew that you probably don't mess with them, probably due to the little pinchers and the little dagger it keeps on its tail. But I was like, I don't mess with you. You don't mess with me. So I never really had an issue with scorpions. Funky said some spiders eat mosquitoes, so they're cool. Also, Charlotte from Charlotte's Web, she was a good friend and saved Wilbur's life, so I've always appreciated spiders. Yes, I'm glad you brought up Charlotte's Web. I remember having to read the book in elementary school, and then eventually I saw the cartoon. I know that later they've like made movies, but I remember seeing the cartoon movie of Charlotte's Web, and I tried to. I was like, well, you know what? If it was a spider like Charlotte, I would be okay with that spider. I was like, it's all the other spiders, dude. But I think that movie actually helped a little. Heather's like, they are not boop noodles. I played with those as a kid. Are you serious? Tony said, Mika says that the daddy long legs was a female. Ladies build homes. Okay, well, that's why she was cool. We had some sort of sisterly connection in her arachnidness. Heather said, daddy long legs I played with. Oh, okay. I was like, you played with scorpions? Whoa. Like, pretty badass. But yeah, daddy long legs. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Tony said scorpions are more of a respect than fear. Yeah, some things it's like you're not running away in fear, but also you're like, you know what? I just know not to mess with you. But if you mess with me, you get the horns. Just like if I messed with you, you'd give me whatever your form of horns is, you know. um, Heather said, I heard stories as a kid. My great grandmother lived in Arizona and they had to shake out um, their clothes, and my great grandmother got stung and almost died. Oh my gosh. Yeah, something that I remember when I go camping with my grandparents, and they would just teach me little things about like leaving my shoes outside, you know, because normally we slept inside it was like a little trailer that we pulled. It wasn't a fifth wheel. I don't know. It was a little thing, almost like an Airstream. And sometimes we did sleep in a tent, but um, we would either like try to hang our boots or our shoes from a tree, or if they were down on the ground, we made sure to shake them out. Yeah, shake out all your clothes, shake out the blankets and the pillows before you put them away. Which reminds me, our trip that we took to Najas Altas, you know, down way, way, way down in Arizona. Uh, we brought home a little scorpion because I was clearing out like the back end of the truck and just like taking out all the stuff, and I was shaking out some of our bedding which was still back there, because we were sleeping in the bed of the truck, you know, for our camping trip, which by the way was so cool. If you've never slept under the stars, I highly recommend. It was so good. And it's not like bugs are attacking you all night. It was just really nice, like the nice breeze and the sound of the animals and looking up and seeing the moon and the stars, and it was just really nice. But you know, didn't want to put all the bedding stuff away, so we just kind of like crammed it to the back to put all our other stuff in. And so when I was taking stuff out and I went to like shake out one of the pillows, a little teeny scorpion baby about that big, it was just a little scorpion and it was almost translucent, fell out, and I was like, oh well. You certainly don't belong here and you wouldn't like the mountains very much. um, let's see. Heather said, thanks, Tone. That's what I meant. Tone says, it's Tamika. My grandma had a daddy long legs as a pet, lived here in her house until she passed away. I've only had to shake my clothes, was back in like '03 while I was in Washington State. Ironically, a lot of spiders came out of the pockets. You know what? When I lived in Chula Vista, aka Chulawana, um, and every time I took my shoes out of my closet, and we're not like rural, I was in the hood, okay? And I'm taking my shoes out of the closet, and there was always a spider somewhere, either in my right shoe or my left shoe, but there was always a spider. Not always a daddy long legs. Sometimes it was just like some, I don't know, beefy looking spider, usually a little bit beefy, and I'd be like, ah. So I'd always learn to like hit the heel and like shake out my shoes. So it's a habit I even do now, and I haven't had a spider in my shoe literally since I lived in Chula Vista. Even going out camping, being in some really rural spots, my property really rural, basically, never had spiders in my shoes or scorpions or snakes or whoever else wants to hang out my shoes, but only in Chula Vista. I found that interesting. um, oh, Tone said the bathtub. Yes, they would be in the bathtub, but I have not really had, it's weird. I have not had an issue with spiders per se in my space, like in my clothes, in my shoes, in the bathtub. Um, Hmm. I mean, there have been spiders in the house, but like they're not really like disturbing my peace. So I don't know. Maybe I've made peace with uh the araña, the arachnid. You know, we are like, you know, we're okay with each other. So anyway, all that to say is sometimes there are shadow totems out there that could help you. All right, number 6. Have you ever been bitten or attacked by an animal? So again, maybe you're like, well, when it comes to mosquitoes, I seem to be, hometown buffet over here, so maybe mosquitoes just they're trying to teach you something or maybe you've been bitten by a dog, or maybe you got stung by a scorpion, or maybe you got stung by a jellyfish or a stingray, or so think about anything that has ever attacked you. um, Heather says, always a great wake up when there's there's this booty says, don't, oh, Lilith is like, don't jinx it. Tony says, nothing like a spider dropping down while you're taking a shower. That happened at my uncle's house. Oh, with Tamika. Oh my goodness. That happened to me once, again in Chula Vista. Maybe this is like Chula Vista is built on one giant spider back, because there's so many freaking spiders in Chula Vista. It's like they were after me. Punky says, if you ever need to stay awake, watch videos on trapdoor spiders. No, thank you. Thanks for sharing. But hey, maybe if I need to give myself a little wake up call, maybe I will do that. For sure. Costalini said, some spiders bit me all over in my sleep as a kid. Oh, interesting. And Tony said, trapdoor spiders are creepy. Don't think I want to look that one up. I don't need more nightmares. Okay, so if you've been bitten or attacked by an animal, historically, if a shaman survived an attack, it was believed that the animal was the shaman's spirit totem, and the attack was the totem's way of testing the shaman's ability to handle the power. So that's one point of view, but it could also be maybe like a wake-up call, like we were just talking about trapdoor spiders, of like, hey, I haven't been able to get your attention. There's something that we need to work on, and I'm sorry I had to bite you for it, but you weren't paying attention. So whether it was a snake bite, like I said, scorpion, stingray, maybe a horse bit you, and it's just like, you weren't paying attention. I needed to get your attention. And what's one way that we really get our attention is mess with our body. Think about it. Like, we just kind of go along going la 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 until something on our body goes, I'm not feeling well. My leg hurts. My tummy's upset. My back hurts. My neck hurts. Then it's like, okay, something's out of whack. Now I got to listen. And, because we don't always take the time to just like tap in and be like, is there anything I need to address? Any imbalances or anything? We get kind of caught up with our busy lives. And so sometimes the body's like, or an animal has to go, hey, listen. Okay. Number 7. Do you have dreams with animals in them, or are there animal dreams you have never forgotten? This is especially important if the dreams are reoccurring, or if at least the animal image in the dream is a reoccurring one. Children often dream of animals, and attention should be given to these animals. They will often reflect specific animal totems of the child. So, of the dreams that you guys can remember, do you have a particular like reoccurring animal in that dream? Or is there a dream that really stood out to you where you're like, whoa, this one time when I was 10 years old, I had this crazy dream about, a purple tiger or something, let me see if I can think about it. Animals in my dreams. There's definitely more dogs in my dreams. I still have cats in my dreams. But I don't think that there's ever been a dream of an animal that really stood out to me. But I do feel like cats and dogs are just kind of always somewhere in the background in my dream, even if they're not, right there as part of the dream. They're just kind of running in the background. So that's an interesting one. Definitely one I would have to ponder. Punky's like, I said if. Yes. Lilith says, second that. No thanks. And Tone says, I've only gotten bitten by a dog once. They all love me. It was just that one. So yeah, maybe it was that time that was like, hey, Tone, got your attention now. And you must have worked on it because now doggos love you. Okay, let me have a little bit more tea here. And let's just take a little look at the basics of animal totems now that we have some questions to think about the animals that kind of are surrounding us, maybe at different points in our lives, maybe the animals that surround us now. And then I'll take you guys through a meditation to find your animal totem. So that should be fun. Okay. By the way, Tony, Tamika, this is root beer tea. Super good. Let me know if you want the recipe. Mm. You guys probably have a carbonation device. And if you do, that could easily just be root beer. Okay. Animal basics or animal totem basics, but not a basic animal totem. Animal totem basics. Okay. Every animal has a powerful spirit. I know I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know this. Everything is energy. Everything, there is soul in all things. So animals have powerful spirits too. We have a powerful spirit. Nature has a powerful spirit. Where does that all come from? The creator, the powerful spirit. Makes all the powerful spirits. Okay. This spirit may be its own or that of a being who uses that animal image to communicate to us. So, let's say that have this connection with Hawk, and Hawk is one of my three totems. So it could be that Hawk, as in the animal, truly wants to work with my medicine, and I truly want to work with its medicine. Sometimes behind the image of that hawk, it could be that hawk is actually the guise for your, let's say, guardian angel. It's a guide for, or it's a guise for your relative. Like every time you see hawks, you're like, oh, you think of your grandfather or your uncle or something. And so the animal represents them. Where it's the animal, but at the same time, dualistically speaking, it's also the spirit of, it could be a loved one. It could be the creator himself, just kind of speaking to you through that animal. But like I said, for me, every time I work with herbs, I work with animals, I really get my hands in the dirt. I feel that connection to the creator, and thus helping me to understand that connection with my fellow human, knowing that I'm not separate from anything. Okay. Every animal has its own talents. So think of what that animal is really good at. What are horses really good at? What are wolves really good at? What are snakes really good at? So think about their, if they had a whole stats list of that animal, what do they do very well? It says lifelong power animals are usually wild and not domesticated animals. There are a few exceptions, but even these exceptions are often just links to the true power animal. For example, some people may have dog or cat totems, like your house has doggos in them or little kitties. These have their own medicine and power, but the domesticated animal may only be a softened form of its wild counterpart. So think about the wild version of a dog, coyotes, wolves, dingoes, all these things, wild versions of kitty cats, freaking lions, tigers, bobcats, mountain lions, panthers, cougars. Some of that's the same animal, but you get my drift. Okay. The animal chooses the person and not the other way around. So, hold on. You see way over there by the front door is Vader. I mean, I could go up to Vader. Vader representing the softened version of wolf. That's kind of where doggos descend from. And I could go up to Vader and be like, you're my animal totem now. And I could force him to be my animal totem, but nothing would give up their medicine willingly if you're forcing them. You can't force anything. Just like if he wanted to be part of my totem, dog being part of my totem, he couldn't force me to do it if I wasn't ready. So it's usually when we're ready, you just know, and the animal just knows. They appear to you because they're like, you're ready. And you can see them because you're like, you're ready too. So no forcing, even though as much as you may love, I don't know, peacocks, they're beautiful. But if the peacock is not presenting itself to you, it hasn't been showing up and like, hey, let's work together. You can't force the peacock, no matter how pretty it is, to work with you. Okay. You must develop a relationship with your totem. So, like I said, for me, I have three totems. I have horse, I have hawk, and I have wolf. Um, it's not good enough just to say that I have those three totems. Like, that's cool, I have them, and every once in a while, hey, I see a horsey, that's cool, or hey, I see a wolf, what's up, or a hawk or whatever. But to actively engage, actively meditate with them, try to look into their what's their habitat like, what's their how do they raise their young, what do relationships look like with these animals, do they have migratory habits, really trying to understand them. Is there a way that I can help out with conservation efforts with these animals? Is it endangered? What can I do to help? While it helps me in the energetic sense, I could try to help it in the physical sense, but sometimes it helps us physically too. So make sure that there is that symbiotic relationship, which many of our native ancestors like to work on. Everything in balance, not take, because the more we take, the less we have, and then we too go extinct. Okay. You must honor your totem for its medicine to be effective in your life. That should be kind of a given. Don't disrespect it. Again, that would be I'm only using you to get what I want. Respect the animal. You could have pictures of the animal hanging around. You could have, I have a really cool necklace that is carved out of seashell, but it's the horses are carved out of the seashell. So I have like this necklace full of horses, made by a wonderful lady down in Sonora. And so for me, that's like, just kind of wearing a representation of one of my animals. But that's not necessary. You don't necessarily have to wear the necklace or the earrings or a t-shirt that says I heart bobcats, Of course you could if you wanted to, but just think of ways that you can honor the animal. And if it's a type of bird, like say a blue jay or something like that, throw out some birdseed, or maybe you want to make a little, like an owl box if you have owl as your totem. But yeah, find ways to connect. Okay. Lilith says, "'Twas a love bite." Yes. And Tone says, "Funny you mentioned peacock." Oh, really? You will have to fill me in on that. Okay. Couple other things, and then let's get to our meditation. I know you guys are ready for that. Okay. Once you learn to work with the medicine of your power animal, I say power totem. For me, power animals are like your core animals. So I could call my three totem animals my power animals. I would use it interchangeably, but I would not call every animal that I have an encounter with, that I work with as medicine, as a power animal. It's merely a totem that rotates in and out. It then becomes a doorway to connecting with others of the animal realm. You're not limited to just one totem. So the more you become familiar with working with certain animals, again, the broad term of animal encompassing, avians and insects and the like, then the easier it is to understand when a new totem is coming in to work with you. And the easier it is to kind of build that connection and understand what are your needs, what is your medicine that you need from me, and I will tap into you and see why you're in my life right now, why I need your particular type of medicine. Okay. Although there are one or even several totems that are strongest in your life and remain with you throughout most of it, others do play a role. So that was just kind of reiterating from before. And more than one person can have the same totem. So if one of you in the live chat right now is like, well, hey, I have horse as my totem, it's okay. we can all have, like, some of us could have the same totem, but be working with it in different ways. Because remember, although the animal itself is real, or perhaps there's even a spirit or an angel or something behind the animal, the energy is infinite. You can't destroy energy. So just because you're working with the energy of horse doesn't mean that it's only relegated to you. Energy is everywhere. So I could also work with that energy of horse. All right. Well, are you ready to get to meet your totem, or at least one of them for now? I leave it up to you to kind of go through all the things we just talked about, all those questions that I asked, and start looking at, perhaps there is more than one totem in your life. Maybe the one that you get during the meditation today is just, one of like 3 or 4, however many you may have. But hopefully you find it helpful. Hey, Honeybee Dream, what's up? How are you? Can unicorns be part of this? You know what? I would say it could be, but it would be a little bit harder if it wasn't in the physical. So it could definitely be a spirit animal, I would say, but a little bit harder to be a totem animal, just in the Native American sense, because they went with animals that they physically could see in the third dimension. However, knowing that there are spirit animals out there and energetic animals like unicorns, I wouldn't say you couldn't work with a unicorn. That would be erroneous of me. So you can definitely work with a unicorn, but I would say it would be more considered like your spirit animal. Punky said Scotland would say yes. Nice. Okay. I'm going to move out of the way because I want to give you guys kind of like a nice visual. Okay. I'm going to put a little dish underneath my candle here just in case it gets all melty. So I'll be right back. Actually, no need for dish. I have paper. This works too. You already did decide to get melty. Well, good thing I do things like this. Okay. Awesome. Awesome, possum. Okay, let's bring y'all in. Okay, I might use my drum, which would normally be used in ceremony to connect with the heartbeat of the earth and thus your own heartbeat, and making that connection. And then going in and finding the animal. Costalini said the best part of having a British passport is the unicorn on the cover. Nice. Honeybee Dream said, thank you. You are very welcome, my friend. Okay. So during this meditation, I want you guys to think about how you're feeling during the meditation. Like, do you feel heavy? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel, anticipation? How are you feeling? What emotions or sensations are coming up for you, especially when the animal emerges for you personally during this meditation? When this animal presents itself to you, and it will, don't worry, and you have to give it time too. Maybe it won't do it during this live chat, but maybe if you do it again tonight, it will. So just give yourself some patience. When this animal emerges, is this an animal that you were interested in the past before? Is this, an animal where it's not shocking that this is the animal that came through? And what do you think when this animal comes in? Like, what are your first thoughts, first impressions? And what is your heartfelt response? Is it joy? Is it sadness? It's what's coming through for you? Definitely honor all of these feelings. Okay. So I'm going to start off with our drum. And go ahead and find yourselves a nice, comfortable space. A place you will be undisturbed for for the next several minutes. You could be lying in your bed, sitting in a chair. Maybe you're out on this gorgeous Sunday afternoon and you're out underneath your favorite tree. But go ahead and allow yourself to just sink deeply into the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Feeling perhaps the sun on your skin, maybe a gentle breeze on your face. Maybe you feel the comfort of your bed beneath you, or the carpet, or maybe your favorite chair. As you relax, you find yourself growing lighter and lighter. The surroundings seem to fade, and you are wrapped in the warm, dark cloak of your own energy and mind. It is safe, warm, and comfortable. In your mind's eye, you begin to see soft light, and slowly the view opens. You find yourself at the edge of a crystalline pool of water. The sky above is blue, and there is a soft haze on the distant horizon. Above you, the sun and the moon can be seen together in the sky. You're not sure if it is dusk or dawn, but you know it is one of those powerful in-between times. A time in which there is a thinning of the veils between the physical and the spiritual. To your right, at the end of the pool, is a waterfall. The spray from it is cool and misty, and where it touches the pool, water ripples outward. Distorting all reflections. It gives the area a surreal appearance. You look about you at the green grasses and the distant trees, and all is silent. It is as if nature is in a state of quiet anticipation. You look back to the waterfall, and you notice a dark area behind it. You move toward it, and as you stand close to the waterfall, you see a cave half concealed behind it. You step carefully behind the waters and into the muted darkness of the inner cave. You are surprised, for it is illuminated with soft torches. The light given off from them gives the open chamber a warmth. Somehow it looks familiar, and it makes you feel as if you were expected. To the back of that chamber is a tunnel that is also lit with torches. You glance over your shoulder to the area beyond the waterfall, and then you walk further into the cave. It is as warm and comfortable as it first appeared. And as you step further in toward the back tunnel, you feel a slight giddiness. A soft, childlike laugh slips out. For the first time in a long time, you feel like a child, about to open and explore wondrous treasures of the world. You step from the chamber onto the path of the tunnel and begin to follow it slowly. It is well lit and you are not at all uncomfortable. You reach out and touch the walls with your hands, and you are surprised at their warmth. It is as if you could feel the lifeblood of the earth itself flowing through the walls. As you move further along, the tunnel widens and grows taller. The torches are fewer and more distant, but you notice that it seems to be getting lighter still. Then you pass a couple of torches that are not even lit. You stop and touch them just to confirm they have not recently gone out. And then, as you look ahead, you see the reason. The tunnel has widened so greatly that the sun is able to penetrate almost 50 yards back. You can see beyond the end of the tunnel. There is a distant river and lush green grass. The sunlight sparkles off of it as if it were the morning dew on a summer's day. Across the field is the edge of a rich, deep green forest. You pause only a moment, and then you run the last 50 yards and burst from the tunnel into the warm sunlight of this beautiful meadow. Next to the river is a large ancient oak tree. Surrounding it is the greenest and most lush grass you have ever seen. You run to it and sit down beneath it. You stretch out and roll in its softness, and you inhale its sweetness. Then you sit up. Next to the tree is a stone, shaped as if it was carved into a chair. You sit down upon it. And as you do, you find that it fits your form perfectly. It makes you giggle with wonder. You breathe deeply, and from this chair, you look about you. It is quiet and peaceful, and you know that this meadow is a place where wildlife must surely come. And for a moment, you envy the animals and the birds for having such a place of beauty. You sit upon the stone chair and you enjoy the beauty of nature. It is as if with each breath, you become more and more a part of it, and it becomes more and more a part of you. Then suddenly your breath catches. You see a movement out of the corner of your eye at the edge of the forest. You hold your breath. Maybe you will get to see some wildlife. Then, from among the trees, comes movement. It may soar above you, or it may step out into the meadow. You sit still, watching as an animal appears in your vision. Don't force it. Allow it to show itself to you. And as it does, its eyes seek you out and hold your gaze. Never have you seen anything so wonderful, so unique. Such animals have always seemed so wild and out of touch. There is no fear as it moves closer, only recognition and wonder. Surely this must be a dream. Then, as if in response to your thoughts, it makes a sound, a movement, a gesture, and you fix your eyes upon it. In that moment, you begin to understand. You catch glimpses of memories of how it may have helped you in the past. You now know why you have always been fascinated with it. And then it begins to move toward that tunnel. It pauses and turns to look back at you, as if telling you it is time to go on. You stand and begin to follow it. As you approach the mouth of the tunnel, it waits. It is so close. With a few steps, you could touch it. Carefully, gently, you extend your hand out to it, but before your hand gets close enough to actually touch it, it jumps and is heading back to the edge of the forest. It pauses, looking back at you once more, and then disappears into the green. You understand. It will take time to develop a relationship. There is much you have to learn from each other. Until then, you must be patient. You smile, a sweet sadness, and then move back into the tunnel, following it back to the waterfall. As you step from the cave and behind the waterfall, you look into the crystal pool. You see your reflection rippling. And then behind your reflection, you see the form of your animal totem. You catch your breath and you laugh, thanking it for opening to you. As you do, its image disappears, and the scene around you begins to fade. You are again in the warm darkness of your own mind. The image of your totem is strong within you as you breathe deeply and allow yourself to come back to your surroundings. Go ahead and take a nice deep breath in. Begin to feel into your body, feeling those wiggles in your toes and your fingers, feeling your body movements, taking notice of any emotions that came up for you, any thoughts, first impressions. Remember that you're going to have time to write it all down, kind of analyze it later, but for now, just kind of sit with the energy that came through. All right, let me move my camera back here. All right, I'm curious, you guys, what did you see or feel? You know, I know not everybody is a visual person during meditation. So what was that impression? What came forward for you? Was it a four-legged animal? Was it a two-legged animal? Was it feathery? Was it scaly? What was your animal? For me, the last time I did that particular meditation, it was wolf that came through for me. And for me, that wasn't a surprise because I had physically seen wolf. It seems like everywhere where there was going to be, or there already was like a big change going on in my life. Yeah, I'm curious. What did you guys see? What did you feel? Maybe what emotions were coming up for you? Maybe you felt relief. Maybe you felt joy. Maybe you felt a little anxiety. Like what was coming up for you? And remember, it's the animal's there as medicine. You will build a stronger relationship with this animal. So just like in the meditation said, it's okay if the animal ran off. It doesn't mean it doesn't want to work with you. It wouldn't show itself if it didn't want to work with you. But it's just showing you that, hey, we have to take time to work together. We can't just go up to, like, let's say a panda bear and be like, hey panda, you're going to work with me now. It's like, oh really? We're going to have to build a little relationship first. Okay. Lilith said she got a feline. Tone has wolf over there, or perhaps even doggo, but yes, wolf. All right. Any other animals? Any other animals coming through? That's interesting. So feline and wolf. Root beer tea still holding strong. Yes. Okay. Hold on while I get this eyelash out of my eyeball. Perhaps I'm gonna have a animal totem coming in and help me with these eyelashes. I always get in my eyeballs. Maybe that's why hawk is one of my totems. Hawk vision, eagle eyes. Speaking of eagle eyes, I saw on Friday a bald eagle outside of my window. That is the second bald eagle I have ever seen. The first one was on the 4th of July, the 1st July that I stayed on my property. I remember I was out and about. I had my DSLR camera with me, my fancy camera. I was taking pictures of like some juniper trees and some pinyon pines and some bunny rabbits. And I happened to like look up in the sky and I saw a hawk, but then I also saw a bigger bird and I was like, oh crap, is that a bald eagle? And they were sharing the same space, like a hawk and a bald eagle. Like they didn't seem to be chasing each other off. It's just like they were flying next to each other and they were like, what's up, bro? And I was like, really? So yeah, I got some really good pictures of a bald eagle and a hawk and a bald eagle. It was pretty cool. But that was like in January, or not January, July of 2022. Yes, 2022. I was like, what year did it come up here? I believe, yes, 2022. Or 23. It was 22 or 23. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway, second time. Saw bald eagle was on Friday. I thought that was cool. And that was also while my friend and I were going over stuff for my new website. And so I took that as a really good sign. Okay. Tone says he gave me a necklace of one. Maybe that's why that came through. Oh, really? Cool. Honeybee Dream also got a wolf. I love that. Hey, wolf medicine coming in for a lot of us. That's really awesome. Okay. I want to thank everybody who voted on connecting with the animal totem, getting to know your animal totem. So I just want to do a little shout out. Thank you, all the people who hang out with us in this live chat, all of my subscribers, all of my mighty moderators who wield the wrench of destiny, all of my YouTube members, Duality Tales, Costalini, Cinnamon Girl 8611, Jonathan Cleese, Nancy from A Crone's Intuition. Love you guys. Also, my mighty patrons, Linda, Aaron, Casey Gritter, Oz, Palu, Brandy, Brian, Lily, Crystal, Easy Does It, Dana, and Ashley. Love you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. So on that, again, I hope you found that helpful. Perhaps I will cut that portion out of the live chat and make it its own video for anybody who maybe missed the live chat and wants to see that portion of it specifically. So I think I will do that. I'll make it its own video and I'll put it out next week. How about that? Let's do it. Okay. Also, I wanted to talk about the herb of the month, and the herb of the month that was really standing out to me was sage. Here I have some loose sage in here. Smells like San Diego to me. um, where my house used to be in Spring Valley, there was like, I, by the way, it was on a really, really steep hill called Dictionary Hill. And everybody who was from San Francisco said that that hill reminded them of home. I mean, it was a steep hill. Not everybody's car could make it up it, even in first gear. If your car was a jalopy, it just like couldn't make it up that hill. Um, I would constantly see neighbors like try to hold open their car door with their leg and try to like get out, and then they would like fall out of their car because it was so steep. But anyway, if you could walk up that really steep hill behind my home, there was like a only locally known, I guess, like little hiking area. It was next to some power lines, so it wasn't that pretty, but it was a fun hiking area. And there was so much sage. There was like blue sage and like kind of like some regular sage, and it smells like this jar. In fact, I'm gonna huff that again. San Diego. Anywho, Costolini says, I tried sniffing when you held it to the screen. Go for it, Costolini. Do it. One day they're going to make smell-o-vision. Okay, since we are working with sage, I want to burn a little bit of sage. Just get that energy, that smell going. I do want to say that there are medicinal properties to burning sage. Some people might think, oh, sage, oh, that's just a woo-woo thing. Do they just like burn it for like whatever? It's also medicinal too. It's not just a woo-woo thing. When you are burning sage, it actually does a good job at actually purifying the air. So not just people using it for energetically purifying things, but it physically does purify the air. It does act as like an air purifier. It does take out many microbials that are in the air. They as in scientists say that there are less airborne illnesses in the air of a home that has been burning with sage. But this is also keeping in mind to have your windows open. You don't want to like smoke yourself out or hot box yourself with sage in your own house. So open a window, clear that stuff out. But sage, really good. So if you are feeling under the weather, maybe you think about burning some sage. I don't know. Okay, so let's give this a little burn. Burn, you want to become fire. Nice. Fire. Oh yeah. Get in on that. Sniff it up, huff it, do it. Oh yes. Oh, that is some good stuff. I love the smell of sage. I love the smell of sage in the morning. I do love the smell of sage. For me, it feels like home. Just that like also like I'm going inwards type energy, because when I would go out for a hike, I'm just like soaking in nature. I'm just trying to still my mind. I'm just trying to be in the present moment. And I was smelling sage obviously through the place I was walking. So now every time I smell sage, it's like this thing in my brain that's like, okay, it's time to be here in the present. It's time to kind of switch off a little bit and just like reconnect to everything around you. So I appreciate that smell. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, alrighty. Let's dive into learning a little bit about sage, and perhaps in its understanding of this herb, it will be able to help you out during this week. And if I recall, I missed you guys last week. Oh, wow. I never updated you. I will. Okay. I did a post on it, but for people who didn't see the post, just quick recap. Last week, I did not have my live chat because I was out of cellular range. We were in Tenajas Altas, where I briefly mentioned before. That is like literally the place of my literal ancestors. Sonora, Mexico, not too far away. And the Akmal Odam, the Pima, kind of went between like their area was between Sonora and southern Arizona. So that area that we went to do some rock climbing, there's still like evidence of them having been there, which just so cool. Being able to feel their energy, all the other cool energies I felt up there, just it was amazing. But Riley went with us. I was with a couple of my neighbors and a couple of their friends, and it was it was awesome. I got to have my new little rock climbing harness. I had my little rock climbing shoes, which have like some good grippy to them. Riley, who's been like rock climbing forever and ice climbing, like he kind of became our instructor while we were there because we're all noobs. We don't know nothing. So he was teaching us, about certain knots and certain like belay knots, or not really knots, but like, um, and like rappelling and kind of how to look at the surface of a rock and like see where you could put your fingers and toes, although I can't really see yet what he can see. I just see a rock and I'm like, you put your hands where? Like, cause I'm looking for big old ledges, like to stick your hand and your foot and you climb. But with like your special little shoes and everything, you can get pretty sticky on the side of those rocks, which is pretty neat. So yeah, we got to climb to the top of Tenajas Altas, which is considered the high tanks. It's these I don't know, like indentations in the rock that fill with water. And every time they fill with water, it just creates more of an indentation. So it creates like these tanks. And it was very useful for the natives, to have tanks of water there almost all year round in a very arid desert. It's very dry out there, very hot. It was already getting pretty hot when we were there. It was like 90 some degrees. Although when we left, it was going to drop back down to the 70s. I was like, really? Nice. Anyways, no, it was a great time. And I had a lot of fun. Seems like my neighbors had a lot of fun too. And I can't wait to do some more rock climbing stuff. So yes, this is why I missed you guys last week. I was off conquering some fears, building some confidence, and having a whole lot of fun rappelling down rocks and sides of rock walls. Okay, so on that note, now let's talk a little bit about sage. And I would have thought there would be some sage around there, but perhaps it's not the right elevation. But it had its own scent and it smelled good out there. I'm one of those weirdos that I like to smell places. I don't know if other people, you guys like to smell places, but that's how my memory registers. Like I'm very particular to scent. Yes, I'm a visual person, but when it comes to my memory is based off of scent and music and scent. So sound and music. So sometimes I could smell a perfume instantly. I know that that's my grandmother's perfume. I'm like taken back to little kid me, and it's like, boom. Or like when I huffed that sage when Costolini and I were trying to huff this sage. I'm like, boom, I'm back in San Diego. I'm on my little hiking trail. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's cool. Okay, so let's learn a little bit about sage. Okay, and the book that I am looking at for this information is the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. And this is by Andrew Chevalier, FNIMH. If you know what the acronym stands for, I don't. I could look it up, but anyway. All right, so information. And I love this book. I think it's got some really good color photos of the dried form of the plant, the new form of the plant, like live and dried and root, and if it has a bark. So I think that's pretty good for identification purposes. Okay, sage. Sage's botanical name is a clue to its medicinal importance. Salvia comes from salvore, meaning to cure in Latin. A medieval saying echoes this: why should a man die while sage grows in his garden? Today, sage is an excellent remedy for sore throats, poor digestion, and irregular periods, on top of all the other wonderful things that sage does. And it is also taken as a gently stimulating tonic. It has a slightly warm, noticeably bitter, and astringent taste. Okay, let's see. What are some key things to know? Okay, so where are we going to find sage? It's native to the Mediterranean. Sage is cultivated all around the world, thriving in sunny conditions. It is grown from seed in spring, and the plants are replaced after 3 to 4 years. The leaves are picked in summer. But of course, nature does its own picking and pruning too, in the form of animals and people and disturbances in the soil, earthquakes, things like that. So, okay, key constituents. It has 1 to 2% essential oil in it. It's actually a lot of essential oil, which is probably why it's so pungent when it burns, or it's so intense when you put it in a tea. If you're going to make some herbal tea and it has sage in it, and you really want a sagey taste, you don't even have to put that much sage. But if you're like looking for a subtle sage taste in your herbal tea that has other subtle herbs in it, then you want to put the very minimal amount, because sage is like, ugh. But that's probably because all the essential oil. Okay, it has diperennis, triterpenes, phenolic compounds, including rosmarinic acid and tannins. Tannins, by the way, are what they use to make for tanning of leather. But also there are tannins in red wine, which is what gives some people a headache when they drink red wine, is usually a large amount of tannins. Okay. Okay, so let's look at some just interesting facts about sage. Okay, research. I feel like I should have my monocle. Ongoing research taking place in the UK provides strong support for the traditional use of sage to enhance memory. In the most recent study, as of 2008, healthy volunteers averaging 73 years of age showed a significant improvement in memory processing and accuracy of attention after taking a single dose of sage extract. Increasingly, a moderate dose, equivalent to 2.5 grams of sage, proved most effective, more so than higher doses. So it's like there's like a happy medium in there. So that's interesting. Okay, sore throat. And oh, hey, Kath is here. Hey. Sore throat. In a randomized trial published in 2006, a sage throat spray was found to relieve throat pain in people who had acute throat infection. So not a cute, but acute. Okay, hormonal activity. The herb's long-standing use during menopause has also been researched. In the most recent study undertaken in Switzerland in 2011, women with at least 12 months of hot flashes reported an average of 64% decrease in symptoms after 8 weeks of taking sage. Well, that's interesting to know. Lowering blood fat levels. A clinical trial published in 2011 in the phytotherapy research concluded that sage may be effective and safe in the treatment of hyperlipidemia. All blood fat markers showed improvement in those taking sage. Okay, so some traditional and current uses. Also, some other ways you might want to utilize it. Okay, for sore throat, sage's combination of antiseptic and astringent action makes it ideal as a gargle for sore throats and throat infections. It can equally be used for mouth or ulcers and sore gums. I will say that when I was singing a lot, like for the opera, I really wouldn't get like a sore throat, like as in I had a viral infection and I had a sore throat, but it was just late nights. And singing really wasn't hurting my voice. And by the way, singing shouldn't hurt your voice, if you're um, doing well to use all the things that you need for singing. But it was just the like talking all night long after singing and then not getting a whole lot of sleep. It's just like my throat, it was like taking a toll on my throat. And so I would literally just gargle with basically sage tea. I would make tea with sage and then I would use that to gargle. So it was nice and warm, which felt good on my throat. And I would just gargle it. It felt kind of bad because I wasn't really drinking the tea. I was just kind of spitting it out. I did drink a little bit of it before I would go to sleep, and I I would start to feel a lot better. Okay, hormonal remedy. A valuable remedy for irregular and scanty periods, sage encourages better blood flow at menstruation. The herb is thought to reduce or prevent sweating and can prove particularly effective during menopause. It also helps reduce hot flashes and night sweats and has a calming, relaxant aspect. Sage will decrease breast milk production and is traditionally taken by a mother while weaning. Okay, digestive tonic. Sage has a long traditional use as a digestive aid, supporting stomach health and promoting better digestion and absorption. Okay, so if you're going to make it as an infusion, use as a gargle for sore throats up to 3 times a day. If you're going to use it as a tincture, you can use it as a digestive tonic. You would take 40 drops with water twice a day. If you're going to use the fresh sage leaves, like in cooking, they are useful as a first aid remedy. Rub on stings and bites. I think it was Costolini that was talking about getting like eaten alive by mosquitoes or something. So maybe have some fresh sage leaves and just like rub it on those bites, which is also really helpful when you're like out hiking out and about and you happen to be like in a lot of sage. There's a lot of sage around and little bug jumps up, bites you on the ankle. Bam, remedy right there. Just rub it right there on your bump. Okay. Cautions. Do not take medicinal doses during pregnancy or while breastfeeding or if epileptic. So remember, it said it reduced breast milk. Probably wouldn't want to do that if you're like currently breastfeeding and you're not trying to wean your baby off or you're pregnant. So just things to keep in mind. Let's see if there's anything else to share with you guys here. Okay, I think that's it for that. But I have something in my magical book about sage. Okay. Kath says, wow, amazing. Used to sing in the opera. Would love to hear you sing. Perhaps I shall someday. Well, Riley got to hear me sing in the shower not too long ago. Okay. So in Cunningham's book of Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs, this is what our magical ancestors would have utilized sage for. So first of all, they called it by different names. They might call it garden sage, red sage, or sage. Anyway, they felt it had a connection to immortality, longevity, wisdom, protection, wishes, things like that. It says, sage has been utilized to ensure a long life, sometimes even immortality. This is done by eating some of the plant every day, or at least in May, for he who would live for aye must eat sage in May. Live for aye. Nice. Sage is carried to promote wisdom, and the leaves are used in countless healing and money spells. To guard yourself against contracting the dreaded evil eye, wear a small horn filled with sage. There are a few curious gardening tips concerning sage. First, it is bad luck to plant sage in your own garden. A stranger should be found to do the work. Second, a full bed of sage brings ill luck, so ensure that some other plants share the plot. Incidentally, toads love sage. Didn't know that. If you desire to make a wish come true, write it on a sage leaf and hide it beneath your pillow. For 3 nights, sleep upon it. If once your dream of what you desire, your wish may be materialized. If not, bury the sage in the ground so that you do not come to harm. So interesting where it would be used in these like folk ways, because it did have such a medicinal use, that I could see that as being used as like some sort of like purifier or like to cleanse your space of things. And like we said, it literally can cleanse the air. So I could see it being definitely connected to healing. And perhaps because it has such a pungent scent to it, also like maybe keeping things at bay. And also what we talked about, like rubbing it on stings, you can kind of see where a lot of this like ancient wisdom had come from in utilizing this herb. So fascinating. Okay. Hold on. I had a couple things fall out of here. Thistle. There we are. Bless thistle. And white tea. There we go. Ta-da. All right. Everything back in the book. There you go. All right, you guys. So interesting about sage. So we can think about it for this upcoming week. You could maybe try actually rubbing some like fresh sage on a bug bite and see how it goes. Definitely let me know. You could make a tea of it. If you are feeling a little under the weather, maybe you can try burning sage in the home, also open a window, but maybe gargling it, maybe drinking some sage tea. I definitely feel that if it has this astringent and kind of like body purifying or like detoxing effect, I can see how it could be connected to longevity. In fact, Riley and a couple other friends of mine, we've all been talking about like, what if we just lived to be like 200 years old? I mean, it's written down. It's like it's in the Bible. It's in certain like tribal like oral tradition, like their stories. They've been talking about people living to be like 200-300 years old. It is said that there was this Native American guy from like the plains or something, and he died in like the 1930s, but it was recorded as him being like 174 years old, something like that. And then there is a Chinese herbalist from like 17 or 1800s, I believe. But he's the guy that kind of discovered the medicinal uses of goji berry and its health benefits. And it's said that he lived to be like 150 something. So, I mean, it's out there, maybe it's just a little matrix code that's like, oh, you get old and then you die when you're like 80 or something. I'm like, yeah, I'm going for 200. Who's coming with me, man? Who's coming with me? Drink your sage tea. Let's see. Honeybee Dreams said, great tips for sage. Yeah. So yeah, think about it. If it represents healing, detoxing, purifying, boundaries, keeping away things that no longer serve us, then see how you might be able to apply that to your life this week. Maybe we got to work on our boundaries a little bit, or maybe our boundaries are so intense that we end up not letting anything in. So there is a shadow side to boundaries. So maybe taking a look at the shadow and light of your personal boundaries. Maybe taking a look into our health. Is there anything that we need to detox physically? Is there something we need to detox spiritually, energetically? So sage has a lot of sage advice for us. So if sage grows where you live, I say go hang out, go talk to that plant. If you want to pick a couple of its leaves, definitely let it know. Remember the 10% rule. Never take more than 10% of what's in that area. Always try to replace it when you can. What else? Maybe you want to make yourself sage tea. Maybe you just want to call it to meditation because you're like, you know what? I live in Iceland and Iceland has no sage. So maybe a meditation calling in sage's energy. And if you don't know what it looks like, pull that image up on the internet and be like, oh, okay, that's sage. So then I put it in my mind's eye and I'm going to try to call in that energy. So yeah, let me know what you guys come up with. I'll ask you guys next Sunday, how did sage go for you? How'd you guys work together? Did you make something with sage? Did you eat something with sage? Did you just meditate with its energy? Was it able to offer its sage advice? I just like the corny puns. I just can't get away from them. Anyway. Okay. On that note, before we go into our meditation, if you would like to do super chats or super stickers, now would be the time. I have my spring decks with me right now. I have the Spirits in Flowers deck. I figured flowers, it's really springy. Plus, I love flowers and I love plants. So, so that's a deck. I also have Tarot for the Great Outdoors. What I like about this one is in the artwork for the major arcana. It's different national parks around the United States, which is pretty cool. And I also have my Vintage Peach Oracle deck, which I believe I got on Etsy. And I forgot which shop it's from, but oh, it says it on the back. Created by Amy Pasantino. So, okay. And it is so cute. Look, it's like super springy. I'm just adorbs. So there we go. I have my little springy decks with you guys. So super chat, super stickers, or if you see that little QR code at the top of the screen there, you can click on that and you can do the donation through there. That's for my PayPal. So if you want to do a PayPal donation, it definitely is, PayPal takes less of a percentage than YouTube does. YouTube takes basically half of all my earnings. So some people just, they don't like YouTube. So yeah, I understand if you would like to do a donation through PayPal. I don't have like a set donation amount. I'm not like, you have to do this. It's donation. It's what you feel comfortable in giving. Okay, so while I'm getting all set up for that, so I wanted to talk a little bit about the Savage Wild, just a little bit more about it. So yes, you guys can see that the I guess everything's opposite on my screen. So it might be over here is my little Savage Wild logo. But that was actually the title of a poem that I wrote in my newsletter. And maybe it was in December. It was, yeah, it might've been the December newsletter. Yeah, cause that's when I felt like all this. And, like I said, I'd already been feeling like for 5 to 8 years, like I want to embrace my native roots more. And it's something that I struggled with when I was younger, because although I grew up in a Hispanic neighborhood, like a lot of people, not just from Mexico, but some people were from like, Central America and deep South America. And it was frowned upon, especially in the Mexican community, if you were native, and especially if you had really dark skin, like you were made fun of, like, they would call you Indio and, stuff like that. And like, oh, like it was like a bad term, like to be called Indian, like you can't be that. And so everybody would always say like, we're Spanish, we have Spanish blood, even if everybody's from Mexico, it's like we're Spanish. And even my family, because my heritage actually comes through my dad's mother. Even them, they would say that, oh, they would just acknowledge the Spanish blood, and I would like look back at photos, and there's clearly Native American women, and I was like, who are those ladies? And like, oh, that's your great great grandma, that's your great 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 grandma. And so it was my nana that actually opened up to me, was like telling me all about my heritage, and everybody else was like, you don't want to learn about that, like there's nothing useful in being like, they would say Indian, like there's nothing useful in being an Indian, like what do Indians know? And I was like, and so it was like this weird thing where it was a part of me, but I was supposed to feel ashamed that it's a part of me. And it wasn't until I left that part of San Diego, even though not all of San Diego was like that. It was maybe just my little neighborhood I grew up in, because in East County, San Diego, we had a lot of Kumeyaay. And the Kumeyaay are like the band of Indians from Barona. We have Pala, we have Saquon. And they also have like the casinos too on the reservations, but they would hold powwows, especially like Barona would hold its big powwow. And it was like this celebration of heritage that I hadn't really seen when I was growing up. And, but still there was kind of a disconnect still a little bit in San Diego. And it wasn't till I came to Arizona, that, I saw people just proud to be, Dene, Navajo, proud to be Apache, proud to be a Hopi. And it was like, finally, I didn't feel like I had to hide like that one little aspect, anymore. Not that I was trying to hide it, but I just never really brought it up. So, so even though I would do things that were like according to um, that particular group, I wouldn't I wouldn't be very vocal about it. I would kind of keep it down, and not because I felt like people were going to make fun of me, but because there was that stigma from childhood of like we're not Indian, like we're Spanish. So part of the Savage Wild is me re-embracing that. And it's also embracing something else. I have like two really big shadows. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about them here because I'm all about being open and not holding things back and trying to be a false version of myself. So the number one was holding back my native heritage, and trying to be all the other parts of me except that, and now I feel whole again, that, I can be all of those things and I'm native too, and so it's embracing that. And the other one was embracing Christianity, because I feel that how I grew up, I equated people who abused um, Christianity, took words out of the Bible out of context, and they used them against people, and they really hurt people. And even thinking about the people coming from Spain, all the Mexicans wanted, not all the Mexicans, but the Mexicans in my neighborhood wanted to be Spanish, right? But think about the Spaniards came and literally were wiping out the natives if they didn't convert to, it was Catholicism. It wasn't really like Christianity at its core. And so it's like people have been throwing around this term like, oh, I'm Christian, I'm this, but they're doing everything that's the opposite of like what Jesus actually taught. And so for me, I had this big wound because like my mother weaponized it. People that I trusted had weaponized it. The Catholic Church was weaponizing it. And so I just wanted to get away from it, even though I still, prayed. I still had like a connection to Jesus, but I would have a hard time even saying that. And I would keep it hidden because I thought that people like, I couldn't understand why they would want to use teachings that were so full of love, to use that to hurt people, and to, and it isn't till now, because I have like literally not read a Bible. I've read all these other books. I'm a big bibliophile. I love to read. But like where I grew up, and like in the Catholic Church, they're like, basically, you don't need to read it. Like we read it, we interpret it, and you take it. So me naively thinking that, well, obviously if they've read it, they must be well learned in it. Not necessarily. People twisting things or putting things in there that don't even exist, but you wouldn't know about it because you're told not to read it. And what are cultures that try to erase books and tell you not to read books? But well, they're trying to assert a sort of authority over you. So I, with Riley, have actually been taking this, like, it's called, I think, like Know the Bible. It's like truly trying to read it and not just like taking things all willy-nilly out of context, and but like trying to read it like with my teacher eyes. I was an educator, so I know about like taking apart text and trying to understand the nuances and the history behind things, and that really fascinates me. That's why I was an English teacher. And so now I'm not looking at it as like this book that somebody has used to hurt me, but it's not the book itself, it was the people. And so now I'm like reading it and I'm like, holy cow, like I was never told any of this. Like, what? like, like, it's like mind blowing. And it's not like I've even read the whole thing. I'm like part way in. I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, if I would have known this as a child, I would have had something to say to those people, who try to use it to hurt me. And so I'm healing in that respect. And like my connection to, Jesus and all these things just been so much more positive. I feel like finally healing trauma of my native roots, putting them together. And that is the Savage Wild. It's reconnecting to creator. It's reconnecting to that true power, the power that's within us and the power that is where we come from. And so my vision for it, this new site and everything for YouTube, all my social media, is to do what I'm doing now, like talking about herbs. And I feel like herbs, animals, how to make things, how to, do things for ourselves, like make cheese, change a tire, put up a solar system. I'm trying to show sovereignty, our power, our real power. Because in my eyes, that's what Jesus was trying to teach. Like he didn't say go live under somebody's rule. Like he was trying to free people. So like I feel like that's what I should be helping too, is like help people, free minds, free hearts, you know, free us from the matrix, basically. So anyway, I'll probably talk more about it as we get closer to launch, but that was my idea for it. And for my services is something that I'm already doing with Patreon, which is like making personalized medicine bags for people, personalized teas and, smoke blends, and also like creating things like either my watercolors, like works of art, writing poetry, music, based on what that person needs at the time. So it's, instead of like taking my deck of cards and being like, okay, this person has this question, and then, there's an answer or some sort of guidance that goes with that question. Instead, it's like, let's say I'm going through this. Can you tap into my energy right now? I tap in, I make a little something, and then what you do with it is up to you. If you want to wear it, it might be jewelry that I make, or if you want to put it up on the wall, if it's art or something, and like connect to that, because that is my interpretation of your energy and where you are. And hopefully it helps you on your journey and reconnecting to self, which reconnects you to the all. So anyway, hopefully I explained it okay, but that is the Savage Wild. I feel like we're all wild. I'd rather be wild, be savage, take a term that was used as an insult to my people in the past and turn it around and turn it into something empowering, the Savage Wild. So, okay, let's take a look-ski here. All right, Lilith says, I got a couple of questions. Could you ask my higher self about my soul's mission for this lifetime? I'm also wondering about the teaching of nicotine to my soul across lifetimes. Pretty please. Sure thing, will do. Kath also said that she just sent a PayPal, whatever needs to come through. Relationships, career, thank you. And this is beautiful. I'm working on being my true authentic self and done a lot of inner healing, feeling so much happier and lighter for it. That is awesome. I know personally, for some people, it's like pretty easy to just go and be their bold, beautiful selves. Riley is one of them. You can just be him. For other people, maybe it's just due to the area that we grew up in, or maybe our family upbringing, but, maybe a little bit harder to be authentic. But I feel like I'm pretty authentic now. And the more we get closer to this launch date, and the more I've been like really like, going back and working with it with, my good friend on this website, the more authentic I feel. And it's been feeling so good, bringing tears to my eyes because it's like, I don't know why I would have hid that part of me for so long. Maybe because there was a lot of trauma attached to it, but I was like, but you know what? All that's in the past. We're in the present now. And it's time to be me, Cass says the Sefer version of the Bible is the most accurate version. The Book of Enoch is included, etc. Nice. I have heard of that actually. It's very nice. So yeah, so much. I was one of those people that love to watch the History Channel. Like I like history, maybe not the history that was taught in school, because I don't know why it put me to sleep, but like when I go find out history on my own, I find that fascinating. So I get to employ, instead of like having the traumatized version of me stubbornly like trying to read something and being like, no, I can't read it because this person did this and this, but if I look at it with my teacher eyes, it's like, okay, well, that past doesn't exist. I'm looking at a book. And what does this book say? What is the literary language in this book? What is the history in this book? What are the different connections? And then there's less filters or lenses, as they say. um, and Kath also said, yes, love ancient civilizations. All right, excellent, my friends. So we are going to help out our friend Lilith first, and I'm trying to see which deck would be best for this. Let's go with my flowers one. Yes, spirits and flowers. I think that'll be nice. That's so good. Excellent. Okay. My floral deck, so pretty. Okay. So a couple questions. So let's take a look at the first question. Asking the higher self about the soul's mission in this lifetime. Okay, and then we'll get to the nicotine part. So mission or missions. I'm sure there's like a plethora of missions, plethora of pie. But let's see. Okay, interesting. So I have En Vogue playing in the background. The hold on to your love, oh, you got to hold on to your love. The art of playing games now is not so hard to break. Anyway, so that's playing in the background, and I was seeing you like you kept opening these doors, like stepping through this door, opening this door. And it was showing like you offering, or not offering through your acts, people the ability to make a choice of being closed off or opening themselves to new experiences. And so it was like you are the leader in that. That everybody who comes across your energy, even if they're like just passing you on the street, or people that actually like know you, like they're your friends, they're your family, like something that seems to be rather difficult in our modern age. I can't speak for all of the ages, but in our modern age is to become vulnerable to others. Just like I was trying to do earlier by talking about my two really big shadows, trying to offer that vulnerability because perhaps in the society we live in, and maybe it's not even cultural, it's just like a worldly thing that we want to put this like best face forward, or whatever best face means. Like, what does that even mean? Like to be inauthentic? Like it almost seems like that's what that means, is to have your best face forward is to be your most inauthentic self, where I don't have issues. I don't have worries. I don't have anxieties. I don't have programming. I don't have shadows, that we look at Instagram or TikTok or, whatever fangled thing these kids are looking at these days, where everything is just happy and beautiful. There's so many filters to the point where people don't have like pores in their skin anymore. And everything is so hidden. And even though we have this beautiful internet where we can connect to people who literally are across the world, different time zones, making friends we never would have, made otherwise. It seems that now that we have this internet, now instead of putting who we really are out there, and I'm not saying everybody does this, but a lot of people will end up putting what they think is the best pieces of them and then hide the rest because, well, now we have a larger audience and maybe they're judging me somehow. And I don't want them to judge me for what I see personally as my faults and my shortcomings. So I'm just putting out this, best thing. And so then it trickles down to not doing that for social media, but now we're doing it in all of our interactions, even in person, face-to-face interactions, keeping certain things hidden, even to our best friends, just biting our tongue. Probably don't want to share that with my best friend. What would they think about me? But you, Lilith, it feels like you are this person, although it's not easy, and nothing nothing worth having is, it seems, even though you might feel extremely uncomfortable in sharing some very vulnerable things about yourself, you are still working on that and doing that, like stepping into that vulnerability, showing aspects about yourself that, yes, other people may judge and say things, but just know, as you already do know, that they're just projecting their own insecurities. They're saying, hey, you person who's being super authentic, you're freaking me out because I'm too scared to be authentic. So I'm going to go ahead and put you down so that hopefully you stop being authentic. And then I can feel comfortable again because I don't like feeling uncomfortable. So I'm going to make myself feel more comfortable by making you uncomfortable. You know? So that's like one of your big missions, it feels like, is to show people that there isn't just one way, the inauthentic way, that we don't need to hide ourselves, that what kind of life is that? If we're dating somebody, or we get married to somebody, or we're best friends with somebody, wouldn't you want them to marry the person that is really you, or be best friends with the person who is really you? And I'm just saying this is like for everybody. And so, Lilith, that does feel like what you are helping a lot of people with, is how to be vulnerable when it feels so hard to do. Okay, let's see. Lilith says, the masquerade. Yes, the masquerade of the world. I don't have problems. Everything is hunky-dory. And it just makes it so hard, because then it's like, then we feel too scared to turn to anybody. Like when we really do have some problems, then it's like, well, I've put out this like false version of myself for so long that I feel like now that's the person I have to live up to, when that person actually doesn't really exist. That's not a whole person. That's a piece of you, but it's not who you really are. So then we start to feel bad. We start to feel less than, because we have created something that isn't really us. And then it's like, well, then now I'm too scared to talk to anybody about the worries and the things that I have, because I've created this image of myself that doesn't exist. So let's just pull a card for confirmation. Ooh. Dude, I think I pulled this for my personal card today. Okay, so we have nettle. This is inspiration, but that's not really the key word I would give nettle, because I like working with that herb. And so think of like stinging nettle, right? Anybody who's played out in their backyard or out in the forest or something, and you've worn flip-flops or like really low cut socks, and you've felt stinging nettle on your skin, it lets you know that it's there, and it burns and it itches, and maybe put some sage on it. I don't know. It might help. But also, there is a medicinal form of nettle. So what I'm feeling with this is that nettle in its stinging form is perhaps where many people are right now, especially maybe many people that surround you, Lilith, where they're in this kind of defensive mode, I'm just this pretty little plant. Oh, please don't come near me. Oh, please don't know who please don't look at my shadows. If you get close, I will sting you. Like, back up. I will sting you right in your ankle. Do not do that. But then there's the light side of stinging nettle. Well, when we dry it out and we boil it, it loses its sting. It becomes a medicine. It becomes something that is actually really good for healing. It's really good for healing the womb. It's really good for menstruation. So I would say that it's very a divine feminine type plant. And so the energy that you're stepping into is a healing of the divine feminine. Because, and I don't want to say that this is something that is only for women and it doesn't affect men at all, but remember that we have that feminine and masculine in all of us. So While the masculine, let's say, is running around doing all the things the masculine does, the feminine in him is also telling him, the shadow side of the feminine is like, well, yeah, don't reveal like these things to your friends, or don't show your lady that this or that, because she'll look at you as that less than, or so there is a shadow side. So guys carry it just like girls, where it's like, I don't want to put out who I really am. I will sting you. I will sting you. So yeah, I feel like that is one of your big missions right now, is to show authenticity even when you're scared to do it. Because people will see that even though Lilith was freaking, it was hard for her. She was terrified, but she did it. She can do it. And that gives me permission too. You give them an opportunity they wouldn't have seen otherwise. Because if we're surrounded by people who won't show their authentic self, we don't see any other way. But you can show them another way. Okay, let's see. Lilith says, when I was a child, I flew into a bush of nettle from biking down a hill. Things are coming full circle. Oh my gosh, Nettle was trying to speak to you even at the beginning. Wow. Kath says, wow, lots of synchronicities talking about authentic selves. I drew this card a few hours ago, being true. Freaking love that. And says, she says, I am true to myself and others. I remove my mask and stop creating illusion. I have confidence in who I am, and I reveal the good in me. I do not need to hide or prove anything. I replace shame with the power of love and truth. Also drew learning to love myself. Nice. I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you, Kath. And Lilith says, I'm stinging you too, Kath. Nice. Okay, so let's look at the second part of your question, which was about nicotine. So let me scroll up there. Okay, computer, just calm yourself. Okay, also wondering about the teachings of nicotine to my soul across lifetimes. Okay, so what's this nicotine coming in? I feel like I want to use a different deck. I want to use the vintage peach because it matches my shirt. Okay, so nicotine, what is your message? Across lifetimes, possibly used in all these other versions of herself. What did nicotine truly have to teach? Okay, so I was seeing, it's like this Brazilian dude in the Amazon, and well, I don't think like how he looks is really important. More, it's what he was saying. So he was like showing like smoking, like, and I was thinking like, oh yeah, I was gonna smoke a cigar during the live chat, and he's like, okay, yes, cigar, tobacco. There's nicotine in this tobacco. Yes, yes, okay. And he says, think about how many ancestors, not just like the Pima, but a lot of our ancient ancestors, not just Native American, but the ancestors of, let's say, England, the ancestors of Ireland, all these ancestors used tobacco in a very particular way. And it wasn't just to sit around smoking all day. It was often used in sacred ceremony, when we're trying to receive a vision, or when there's talks, with some of the people from like neighboring tribes. It was kind of like, well, at least from our point of view, it was like this peace thing, and we sit around, we smoke the pipe, and so it was a very healing herb. It's used for healing. The nicotine in the tobacco used for healing, and because of nicotine's properties, that yes, there is a somewhat addictive portion of it. It says it helped to open up our eyes. It helped to like get the blood flowing. It helped to like really stimulate things, so that when you're talking to other tribal members, that you're more open. You can see what they're trying to say. You're like stimulating. You're not falling asleep while they're talking. You can truly take it in. It says it was kind of like a spiritual way of healing, of opening up. However, when the ego portion of ourself, which doesn't like to change, so it's not too keen on healing. It's not that it's trying to like do us dirty, but it does. So, so when this healing energy comes in with this nicotine, and the soul's like, yes, we're learning things, we're opening up, we're reconnecting, like this is awesome, man. And the ego comes in and is like, no, you know what it's really good for? Just like putting the world away and just like coming into yourself and separating yourself from others. And it becomes like a bypass of some sort, where it's like not used as healing anymore, but used as a distraction. I'm using it because of how the nicotine makes me feel. And when I'm feeling certain issues and need to come up for healing, like I'm feeling nervous or uncomfortable in this situation, the nicotine is now being used to help us to not work on that part of ourselves, but to use it as a cover for it. So it's showing that, like, in many of your lives, it was used as a healing form, help open yourself up, almost like, I don't want to say like as intense as like ayahuasca or peyote or something like that, but it was used in a subtle form of like opening your heart. It's a heart opener. Nicotine is. Maybe not in the way we use it now, but it was like this heart opener. It's this like pineal gland opener. It's this third eye opener. It's like, oh, we can, connect. I feel really connected to you. I'm listening to everything you're saying. And also I'm listening to my soul, and we're going to do this healing. And then it got turned into not so much a healing thing anymore, but a recreational thing, and a way to hide ourselves from our healing, keep ourselves from our healing. So you've been able to experience both of these things in the lives that you've had, where you've been able to use it as a healing herb, or the nicotine within the healing herb, but you've also been able to utilize it in its shadow aspect, keeping you apart from others and covering from having to truly work on certain shadow work. And so now that you're cognizant of that in this lifetime, you're like, okay, well, I've experienced both. Now I can show gratitude to both. Whether, you've had like a million lifetimes, doing both of these things, experiencing the light and the shadow, but now you can see it for what it really is, that, not everything is all good and not everything is all bad. Especially coming to like, these things. So here you could say, nicotine, I see how I've used this to cover for certain things when I was not wanting to address things. I've also seen how I've been able to use it for some fantastic healing, and I have gratitude for both. And now this is my conscious decision moving forward with nicotine. But anyway, I want to pull a card for that. Lois says, the way it flustered you makes what he looks like very important. Spill the tea, girlfriend. Okay, well, I mean, it was just, I was just like, it was like intense. It was just like right in my face, but it was just this like Brazilian dude. I was feeling like Brazilian Amazon rainforest. He had this like headdress of like some sort of leaves or something. And he just, I don't know, he was an older guy, like in his 50s maybe, and he was just kind of sitting there cross-legged, and he had this like pipe, and he was like smoking his tobacco, and he was like, here you go. And it was just like so in my face. He's like, here you go. I was like, whoa, okay. And then I was like, oh yeah, I was going to smoke a cigar. Oh, all right. Card flew out. It says, your project is beginning to blossom. So I take that as some beautiful confirmation about now, like, oh, okay, now we can see the light and the shadow in nicotine. And although maybe there may have been a difficult relationship with it in this lifetime, maybe you can also see how it helped you in other lifetimes, that it is used for a form of healing, but it also could be used as a form of distraction. It's just based on our intention going into it. And by the way, even though yes, tobacco has nicotine, I know that there's other maybe it's things in the nightshade family, but I know that there's other foods that also have like nicotine in it, but possibly not to the degree that tobacco does. But very interesting. And hopefully, this helps you when you are like navigating the waters of understanding nicotine, showing some gratitude, um, and deciding, okay, well, I just got to be more um, deliberate or conscious in how I utilize it, or if you're ready to utilize it again, or maybe you're just like, you know what, thank you for the medicine. Now I don't necessarily have to use it physically to be able to move forward and, utilize its teachings. So hopefully that helps. All right. So thank you, my friend. Okay, so our friend Kath had some good stuff up here. Um, so she was looking at whatever needs to come through, maybe like relationships, career, anything along those lines. Okay, what deck? Let's do tarot for the great outdoors. I don't know. I'm feeling the national parks that are in here. It's got such good art. I love this art. Okay. Give this a little shuffle, shuffle. All right. Anything that needs to come through with either relationships or career. Okay. Interesting. I'm not like getting too much music today. It's more like just things I'm seeing. Um, so Kath, what I was actually drawn more to the career aspect. And it was showing basically just like a representation of you in my mind, but it was showing like you standing there. You ever seen those videos where it's like the environment or everything's changing around like a stationary object? And so that's what it looked like. It would look like all these careers shifting around you, but you're still you, in the center of it all. Um, and then it was showing you as like this glowing light. And um, like the message that I was getting is that like we don't sometimes we feel like the career that I have has to be this like super ultra like life changing thing, that in order for me to help other people and for me to grow, it's got to be like maybe like a spiritual career. And I'm not knocking spiritual careers, like I have one. So but like, not everybody, it doesn't have to be the spiritual title to get some spirituality out of it, is what I'm trying to say. Like it was saying, you could even go to trade school and decide, I'm going to learn to be a plumber, and there could still be a spiritual growth experience in that, where you could still grow as a soul. There's a lot that you would learn, and a lot that could be taught to you, and a lot that you could teach others, but also in ways that you help other people through being a plumber. But that's not usually the first job that comes to mind when people are like, yeah, I'm going to help the world and I'm going to grow as a soul. I'm going to be a plumber. Like usually that's not what comes to mind, but that's what the message was saying. It says it doesn't truly matter the career, but also think about why we go for certain careers. Usually we go for things that we think we're suited for at the time. And when we think that way, where we're not being led by our intuition so much, our ego is leading us. And so it's saying things like, I'm just going to use an example, Kath. I'm not I'm not taking any digs at you. But like, let's say your ego is like, Kath, you're just really good at, like you could be a counselor at a high school. And hey, cool. Counselors are great at high schools. But maybe let's say you had a really good skill set at like maybe actually doing some bigger things like seminars or something, and something in the world of psychology. But the ego says, it's just easier to hide at a high school. And it may not seem like that on the outside. On the outside, it's like, no, I'm doing good because I'm helping students. I'm there for them when, maybe their parents aren't around, and I want to create a safe space for them. And so there's a lot of light in that. But the shadow aspect, where the ego is truly hiding, is like, oh, I don't want Kath, I don't want you to really put yourself out there and truly help, like, maybe some other types of people, because I don't know if I would succeed. What if they make fun of me? What if I hurt other people? Like, what if I totally mess with their mind or something, and I send them down some weird path? Like, I could mess up. So I'm just safer at this high school. So then the ego convinces itself that, no, I'm just doing really good here and I'm all good. I don't need to go anywhere else. I'm just going to stay at this high school. That's cool. um, so the message coming through is like, when we take a look at these careers that we choose, are we there because the ego feels really comfortable with it? Even though we might say, oh, but I'm doing this, this, and this, and that could all be true. You're doing wonderful things at the job that you're at. But also, could it be a form of feeling comfortable to the point where if I went out and did something else that was in this field, or tried something new entirely, that I would just be too scared because it's an unknown future? And the ego doesn't like an unknown future. It wants something that it knows, and it only knows the past. So that's why it keeps repeating itself. And also, when it comes to like spreading your light, helping other people, that's literally in all human reaction or interactions that we have. So, it literally could be, you as a high school counselor. It literally could be you as a plumber. It could be you as the electrician, you as the lawyer, you as, all of these things. But you're bringing your authentic self to these situations, and you're realizing that this place that I'm in has so much to teach me. But I feel like I'm no piece of chopped liver either. Like, I can help in this area by being me, the real me. And, maybe it ruffles feathers of the people that I work for, but it doesn't matter, because something that I was talking about before, nothing can grow without resistance. That was like something I had said to one of my friends recently. Literally nothing in this world grows without resistance. Every seedling has the resistance of the soil. And if it doesn't want to grow, well, it's never going to become a plant. We don't grow as people without resistance. Muscles don't grow without resistance. Children don't grow without resistance. Literally everything in nature doesn't grow without resistance. So you be the resistance, just like the resistance that surrounds you in relationships, in career. They're all there to help you grow. They're not there to knock you down. They're not there to hurt you. The ego would like to think of it that way, that anybody who's ever said something mean to us or pushed us in a way that made us feel uncomfortable, they're now the enemy. And I must get away from those people because they hurt me. But think about the light side. If that were the creator putting that there, the creator's like, man, I'm showing you how much you're capable of. I'm helping you to grow through that person. I'm helping you to be like a version of yourself you've never seen before, but I got to get you out of your comfort zone. I really do. But the ego's like, no, don't get me out of my comfort zone, because I don't know what's going to happen. What if I don't know me anymore? I know myself to be this. I can't do this. So that's kind of the big thing that was coming through. But let's see. We'll pull a card too. You're very welcome, Lilith. Cass says, I have been thinking of a spiritual career. I feel drawn to help and guide others, just not sure what path. So yeah, but also definitely listen to your intuition too. If the intuition is just like, for now, I would like to work construction, or for now, I would like to do some sort of more like spiritual based, maybe reconnecting people to their authentic selves. But let's see. Maybe what could be something that you could look into. I always find that the higher self never like limits. The higher self's never like, you must be this next, because that takes away our free will. So it's got to give you free will, which is why it's always broad. But anyway, let's see. All right, we have the Four of Vessels. Oh, okay. That's just a thought, but all right. Hold on. Okay, first look at the picture. It's like a dude in his own little makeshift sweat lodge. I know it's the Four of Cups, basically four vessels, but um so I was getting, well, maybe that's why I kept thinking of counselor. Um Something to look into. Again, remember you have free will, so I'm going to try to keep it as broad as possible so I don't like pigeonhole you into something. Um, but perhaps helping out on those spiritual retreats. Actually, I was just, there's somebody that I follow on Instagram, and he now does these, like, it's not just him, but there's like him and like a bunch of other people that are a part of these like spiritual retreats. Like basically, their whole thing is like psilocybin, psilocybin retreats, and just kind of helping people through healing through the use of like mushroom medicine. But that could be something. Not saying you got to get into psilocybin, but something like that where it's a retreat to kind of help bring people away maybe from the chaos of the world around them, and just kind of help them focus on like, what is it you really want to work on right now? Because sometimes it's hard to think about that when we have so much distraction in our world. We got TV, we got our cell phones, we got the internet, we got everything. um, but yeah, maybe you want to look into retreats, and then you don't necessarily have to start your own retreat. You could if you wanted to, with some friends, but maybe look at some of the other retreats that are out there, and just like, because I know there's all different kinds. There's like people who do like dream retreats, where it's like, a whole dream process. So most of the time, I think people are just sleeping during these retreats, but they do a lot of talking through, like helping to heal through the dream state. There are people who use psilocybin in these retreats. Some people, they use peyote in these retreats. Some people have ayahuasca retreats, down in the Amazon. Like when I was seeing for Lilith, her Amazon dude. But yeah, there's various types of retreats, wellness retreats. I guess you don't always have to call them spiritual, but like wellness retreats, just helping people to either go through certain traumas, like healing through traumas, or working on authenticity, or there's a whole lot of different types out there. So that's just like something your higher self is thrown out there. Not saying you got to do a particular type of retreat, but just know that there's a lot of types of wellness out there to help people come back to the self, come back to the heart space, come back to love. So something to think about. um, Lilith is like, be nettle, Kath, be nettle. And Cass says, I've started attending a Shanti mission group. I think I'm already on the right path. I think it can help others through their traumas as I'm healing from abuse. Thank you. You're very welcome. I mean, that's awesome. So basically, you just needed confirmation because, yeah, you're already doing the thing. And it seems like it's already in alignment with what your higher self is wanting for now. And remember that I know that like when we were really young, everybody was like, you go to school, you graduate college, or you graduate a trade school or whatever, and you get your career for like the rest of your life. It's like, really? If we're always growing and evolving, how is something that I got when I was like 21 years old going to still satisfy me when I'm like almost 45 years old, So, yeah, careers change. We don't always have to have that mindset of like, this is what I shall do until I retire. You retire when you want to, and you do what you want to, and you can change whenever you want to. That is your life. There are no hard and fast rules, really, except love the creator, love your neighbor. That's about it. Okay, so let's see here. Heather says, common edible plants containing trace amounts include potatoes. Oh, for nicotine, potatoes, tomatoes, eggplants, and peppers. Oh, so yeah, it was a couple of the nightshades there. Other plants such as cauliflower, tea, either black or green, and papaya. Woo, papaya. I don't know if I'm still allergic to papaya. I know that I was still allergic as of 2007, but who knows? That might have changed. And what does papaya have to teach me about that? Why was I allergic? But we'll have a look ski later. Um, all right, good to know. So technically, when I'm drinking my green and black teas, I'm getting nicotine hits. Nice. I dig it. Maybe that's why people get addicted to tea. I don't feel like I'm ever addicted to tea. It's just I enjoy being all like magical and throwing herbs together, which reminds me of like making mud pies when I was a kid, which I also ate. And I don't think you're supposed to eat the mud pie. But anyway, so but yeah. Um Interesting. And I love cauliflower. I love tomatoes. I literally could eat tomatoes till they come out my ears. Interesting. Good to know. Thank you, my friend. Kath says, Lilith, happy to join your movement. Lilith is like, yay, Nettle, high five. All right. So yeah, let me know if anybody else would like super chat or super sticker, because if not, let's ask Sage to help us out with a little meditation. I think that would be fantastical. So many good questions. Thank you for allowing me to dive in. All righty. Okay, so let's move this over yonder so that I can move you guys into like a more pleasing, visually pleasing place. Okay. Heather says, compared to cigarettes, it's oh yeah, love levels. So low levels, definitely. But also like in cigarettes, they pack them full of other stuff that's not just nicotine, which like other things that are also like highly addictive. So it's like they try to put nicotine on steroids, basically, so they could sell more product. All right. Let's move you guys in. I think I'm going to hold on to sage. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold on to the burned sage. Yes, this is what we'll do. Oh, hello, drum. How are you doing? Oh, I said that I would take you guys out for the meditation. Well, what the heck? Let's go outside. Let's do the meditation outside. I'll still hold my sage, but let me put on my boots. I got my fancy boots. Okay, putting on the fancy boots, and we're heading out because it's sunny and it's beautiful. Okay, I might want to bring my flute with me. I'm kind of feeling the flute vibes. Okay. All right. I have my sage. I have my flute. I have my lighter. I can't forget. All right. So we shall head out. Heather says, I was just reading about potatoes yesterday. Exactly. Nice. All right. Are we ready? Let's do it. Let's go, homies. You're coming with me, man. You're coming with me. I'm run out of hands. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Out here. Ooh. Gotta close the door. Okay. Okie dokie. Oh, it's such a beautiful day. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go out to my rock. How is the ground still wet here? That is crazy. I don't remember when the last time it snowed or rained. Like, what the deuce, man? Okay, I'm going to put you guys down here. Let me just put that there. Okay, let's give you a beautiful sight. There we go. Looking out to the trees and whatnot. All right. I'm just going to sit on my little rock, play my flute. You guys have a nice point of view. All right. So go ahead and get yourselves into a nice, comfortable space, a place you will be undisturbed for the next several minutes. You could be laying in your bed, sitting in a chair, maybe seated on the floor, or maybe you're outdoors with me on a nice little warm rock in the sun, or underneath your favorite tree. Whatever is most comfortable and pleasing for you. And as you begin to situate yourself, bring your awareness to the breath, feeling the rise and fall of your chest. Just how good it feels to inhale and fill the body with life, and how good it feels to exhale, releasing all that no longer serves. And as you continue breathing, Sage would like to take you on a little journey of purification, but not so much a purification of some sort of external force, but a purification of the prisons that we put ourselves into. Perhaps we are trapped in a particular belief. Maybe we are trapped within something we were taught as a child, a particular programming. Maybe we've pigeonholed ourselves into a particular identity. We're scared of who we might be outside of that identity. But Sage is here to help you. And just like its name suggests, it helps you to be the sage, help to see things from a higher perspective, from the eagle, from the hawk, from the creator. What would they say about this? So as you continue your breath, try to hold within your vibration the image of sage, whether you see it with your mind or you feel it. Perhaps you remember the scent of sage and you can bring that into your awareness, but bring sage into your field now. Ask it to show you where you have become trapped, where the ego has trapped you. And remember that if we've put ourselves in that cage, we can get ourselves out. Okay, guys, go ahead and bring your awareness back into the body. Maybe wiggling those fingers and toes and giving yourselves a little stretch. All right. So thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Um, oh yeah, Heather was also talking about getting water too. Oh well, get some when I get back inside. But anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me today. Thank you for hanging with Sage and getting to know your animal totem. And by the way, like if nothing came through for you during this meditation, remember, have patience. It takes time, for these connections sometimes. So if you guys want to message me over on the Instagrams at Kittens, Weights, and Tarot, and you want to tell me like, hey, this is the animal that came through, or I caught a snapshot of like my totem after I did this, meditation. I want to hear all about it. Tell me about your animals. Tell me about your journey. Who are you working with? Who are you working with? Yeah, and thank you for everybody who allowed me to read for them. Thank you for everybody who's here with me on this journey. And I'm really excited about the upcoming Savage Wild, and I can't wait to share it with you all. And I thank you for holding space with me on this. And I love you guys. Have a fantastic week. Thank you to Kath. Thank you to all you guys. Thank you to Sage. And I will catch you spiritual homies later. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out. Bye.